Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Voice of the Valleys, yet again with your host, friendly neighborhood, far-right thug, enemy of the state. Why didn't I do my proper transition? Oh, that's a bit thing. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Well, where's my transition gone? Hold on. Hold on. There we are. There we are. Okay, technical difficulties aside, did not realize I did change my transition back over. Anyway, hope we're all doing well, guys. Hope we're having a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever we are. I don't even think I finished my proper intro. Anyway, so hope we're all doing well. Hope we're looking forward to this evening. This is Friday, the 18th of July at time of recording, 2025, in case you are watching this at some point in the future. And maybe I am in the gulag. But anyway, what we have here today is a lot of good things to go over. But coming out tonight, which if you've watched the last episode of Voice of the Valleys, where we talked about many different things, the Trump-Epstein debacle, all different manner of things. At the start of it, I played the montage clip for the interview that I have coming out this evening. Now, hold on 2 seconds. It's going to be a very, very nice, satisfying sound. Yes. Lovely caffeinated beverage. With the chair of Public Child Protection Wales, Ms. Kimberly Isherwood. Now, you can go and check YouTube and all my social medias for the actual montage video if you want to go and watch it in preparation for 6 p.m. this evening. It's about 3.5 hours away at time of recording for when that interview comes out. And especially if you're a parent in Wales or really in the UK, you're not going to want to miss that. I promise you're not going to want to miss that. And please, if you have to be somebody coming back to this later on and you have watched it, please share that and please share that conversation far and wide, because we definitely need to spark some conversation about some of the things that are being put into your children's heads, such as, and this is just one of the concepts that comes up in the interview that we really need to have a talk about, is that we don't have parental rights in Wales with regards to this stuff, with regards to this mandatory sexual education stuff. But your children, children in Wales have sexual and reproductive rights. So children in Wales from birth have sexual and reproductive rights, but parents do not have parental rights to object to this stuff. And one of the things involved in their sexual and reproductive rights is the right or the freedom to consent to exciting sex. Yes, so go and listen to that interview. When it comes out, it's dropping in about 3.5 hours. But we got a lot of stuff to go over today. The main thing that's been, hitting the airwaves, been the main subject of conversation at the moment, has been around what's been going on in Epping at the moment. The massive unrest that occurred there yesterday. We will be getting onto that a little bit later on in the show after we talk about something that's quite pertinent to some of the subjects which came up in last episode, namely the fact that a data breach just now means that we need to import about 25 to 150,000 Afghans in what can only really be described as the biggest threat to national security we've really ever seen in recent memory. More on that, however, because we have quite a few things to go over. Jess Phillips, in all her infinite wisdom, was on LBC recently. Jess Phillips, sitting senior Labour MP, and she's been making waves for all the wrong reasons, because she is now refusing to acknowledge the astounding differences, as many have pointed out, as we pointed out last time, between different peoples in rates of sexual crimes and how they view women and all of these things. And as you can imagine, her intersectional feminist framework had to drive her down the route of blaming the quote-unquote patriarchy, even though we live in the most egalitarian society that's ever been seen in Britain, ever in history, right? Funnily enough, how with the rise of egalitarianism and feminism and all of these things, these problems have gotten a hell of a lot worse. Funny that. But the problem is always men. The problem is always the patriarchy. Nothing to do with how different cultures view women, religion, ethnicity, nothing to do with any of this, right? IQ and all of these things. And she has refused to acknowledge it. She had to go back to, I know all perpetrators, or the majority of perpetrators, are men. So this is what she said on LBC, and you wonder why for example, the victims of the rape gangs never get justice because, again, she's trying to bank on these people whom she's trying to appeal to by not directly calling them out in this way for their vote at the next election. She's trying to cultivate the foreign voting bloc. We know that. We've known that for a long time now. And just think, we've got now potentially hundreds of thousands of people coming over bringing these barbaric ideas and disgusting ideology. And our politicians won't even acknowledge that that is potentially dangerous for us. Make no mistake, it is very dangerous. Here's Jess Phillips for you now.
Afghans are 20%, according to these numbers, 20 times more likely to account for sex offence convictions than British people. Does that concern you?
I mean, like, I have to look across all of this data and think about where I have to really focus and target resources on the prevention work that I am determined to do.
Do you think there are people in this country who have a culturally very, very different view of women and therefore are more likely to be engaged in these kinds of activities?
Which culture doesn't have patriarchy and misogyny in it? Because
there it is.
Do you think?
I mean, like I have seen victims and perpetrators from every single walk of life.
Do you think we are
never helped any, mind?
I tell you what
any.
the group of people who are most likely to abuse, that is men.
Afghans are 20%.
So that's what she had to say. That's what she had to say. Nothing on the fact that, for example, in the video we talked about last time with our brave allies from Afghanistan and people like that, where they loved to do heinous things to young boys, for example. Head of the police there that we discussed last time, what was his name? Something I can't remember his name, and he said that if they don't fuck the asses of these young boys, what are they supposed to do? Fuck the pussies of their grandmothers, their own grandmothers, and they're taking what they're owed. That's the attitude of a lot of people we now have coming across, and our politicians won't even acknowledge that. Tells you a lot about where their loyalties lie in this country. The politicians have long since forgotten about the needs of the British people and the sovereignty and safety of them. They only care about votes. They only care about securing some kind of re-election in this sham of democracy that we have in the UK. And as such, they will go to any length to obfuscate and to lie. This is an outright lie. Jess Phillips knows the truth. She knows that these people are incompatible with our civilization, with the ideologies and with the outlook they bring. She knows that. She won't say it, however, because it goes against this intersectional, feminist, we are all the same, really. It's all men. It's not just these men. It's all men. When, as we'll see now, there's a certain subset of men that have just about had enough and are now starting to make their concerns known, should we say, and actually starting to take action against some of these perpetrators. And it should surprise you that, should surprise you none that the one obstacle seemingly to stand in their way, not even the perpetrators that are doing heinous crimes and shouldn't even be here, but is this ever suicidal white liberal female. We'll get onto that a little bit later. So she's getting rightfully pilloried for this. But again, these are the people that have the power to actually enact change. These people have tremendous dominion over all of our lives. Our say virtually means nothing now, as you know. Like, democracy has been shown to be a complete scam, at least in the way that it's been implemented in the last, I suppose, 30, maybe even longer years, right? And we have problems going back nearly 100 years now that we really need to address. But our politicians have no interest in doing that, because they know that they don't have a leg to stand on anymore, and that even if they were to go back and do this, even if they were to go back and enact positive change, the British people are angry. The British people are angry because they remember all the times they were gaslit. They remember all the times that they were told that they were far right. They were these horrible people for objecting to these crimes that were happening. They were lied to at every single turn. We don't forget all the times we were lambasted as far right, as Nazis, as all of this stuff for objecting to foreigners raping children, for example. We remember all this stuff. We remember how our political class gaslit us at every turn and made every single problem worse. So even if they do try to go back and fix it now, there's no necessarily way for them to guarantee that their own skin will be saved at the end of it when we do win. So again, they kind of have to go down this path now. Their fate is pretty much sealed. Okay, their fate is pretty much sealed. And with the way the country's going, I would urge them, if they haven't already, to start making some peace with the Almighty and start repenting in some serious ways. But to give you an example of some of the people, like we said before in the last episode, ladies and gentlemen, where these people are rampant pederasts and they have this horrible culture which our political class want to import simply because they're trying to back the foreign vote to get rid of our vote. 'Cause think about it, if foreigners have more say than the British people do, the British people will never be able to get the system that they want, the system that they want out of their lives, out of the way, democratically at least. These are kind of things that we're talking about here. So in Germany recently, this is something that made headwaves because it was published 2 days ago. An Afghan asylum seeker has murdered a 2-year-old boy. Now, we've just let, as I said, about 19,000 Afghan soldiers and about 6,000 of the relatives into the country. They might not all be in the country at the moment, but they're in the process. And some estimates even say that we could be importing about 150,000 of these people with all of their relatives and stuff like that. This is the report coming from, I'm not sure what the news station is, but this is what happened in Germany recently. Very, very, very sad.
In Germany, police have arrested an Afghan man over a fatal knife attack. The assailant killed 2 people, including a 2-year-old boy, in a public park in the central city of Aschaffenburg. 2 others have been hospitalized for injuries from the attack. Police have not discussed a possible motive. German media has reported that the suspect lived in an asylum center.
I got a few ideas. Lived in an asylum center.
It was in this park in the centre of Aschaffenburg that the stabbings took place. A man armed with a kitchen knife attacked a group of kindergarten-aged children, apparently without warning.
In this attack, 2 persons were killed. Firstly, a 2-year-old boy of Moroccan background. The second person killed was a 41-year-old German passerby who happened to be passing the crime scene.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Within minutes, police arrested a 28-year-old Afghan man known to have been receiving treatment for psychological problems.
Why was he out? That's the next question. Not even just the fact that why was he in the country in the first place? Okay, he's in the country, whatever. Why is he out roaming the streets when they know he's got fucking psychological problems? I would imagine one of the biggest psychological problems that any of these people could be afflicted with from the area of the world that they're coming from is Islam, obviously. But yeah, very, very sad that the 2-year-old boy has sadly lost his life alongside the 41-year-old German. I can't remember if they said that Jim was a man or a woman. I can't remember. But again, to deny this problem now is to deny that there's anything at the root of what's going on with this, and that it's just either freak accidents or just freak one-off occurrences. When we've seen that, the LBC anger mentioned that, you know, these people are like 20 times more likely to commit certain crimes, such as sexual crimes and stuff like that, than the average British person. I don't want to hear any more talk of that we are the same or anything like that, and all peoples are alike. There's not to say that all humans don't have inherent human dignity and stuff like that, but there are responsibilities and outlooks and creeds and stuff like that come along with that make civilizations compatible. And stuff like that, and these people are incompatible with our civilizations, and they shouldn't be here. This person, you know, shouldn't have even been in the country. This is blood probably on Angela Merkel's hands, if anything. And again, tells you a lot that we have issues like this now when we never really had them before, and a lot of the political leaders that have ruined many of the countries like Germany and seemingly with Italy now happen to be women. Yes, because a feminist, female empowered run society is so much better for people, isn't it, Phillips? So much fucking better. Yeah, the old oppressive system that we had before with stable families and 2-year-olds not getting murdered by foreign migrants. That was a little bit too much. That was a little bit too much, wasn't it? And to say that, again, there's no differences, ladies and gentlemen, I've covered before that it was in Austria, I think it was, or was it in France? It was either in Austria or in France, somewhere in Europe, that a young girl was murdered by her own father and brother in an Islamic honor killing. Well, this is not unique ladies and gentlemen. There was another instance of this in, I believe this is Olympia, Washington. This is in America. And I mentioned there was another incident a couple of months ago of this sort of thing happening in America, that 2 fundamentalist Muslim migrants from Iraq are on trial in Olympia, Washington, over a horrific attack on their teen daughter outside Timberline, or Timberland, however you say it, high school last year. Prosecutors say Ihsan Ali and Zara Ali strangled the girl to try to kill her as revenge for rejecting their plan to marry her off to an older Muslim man in their home country. The girl's parents disapproved of her living an American lifestyle and having an American boyfriend. They allegedly hunted her down after she ran away the day she was supposed to fly to Iraq. Neither of the parents speak English, and both are being provided with an Arabic translator at trial, presumably at American taxpayer expense. Presumably. I'd be very fucking angry if that was the case, that not only do you have people committing attempted honor killings in the name of a foreign religion and foreign god on your soil in complete disregard for all your laws and customs, but they don't even know your language and are now getting an interpreter at taxpayer expense that you were paying for. I'd be very fucking angry. This is the footage, ladies and gentlemen. Rest assured, it would be very disturbing. It has been blurred. This is from Como News. So, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that Jess Phillips sees no inherent problem with this other than the 2 people are men.
A possible attempted honor killing, which shook the Timberline High School community, now on trial in Thurston County Superior Court. Prosecutors accuse both Ihsan and Zara Ali of choking their 17-year-old daughter outside the high school to the point where she couldn't breathe and lost consciousness. Part of the incident was caught on camera from a nearby bus.
Her eyes were rolling to the back of the head. You can tell she was not able to breathe. The look on his face and the way he was squeezing.
Evil.
He was choking her.
Court records state the victim's
Pure
father
fucking
had
evil.
previously
Filth.
threatened her with an honor killing for refusing an arranged marriage with an older man in another country. Several bystanders, including other students, the bus driver, and other adults passing through the area.
Anybody who says this to patriarchy,
from her father's grip.
I noticed her eyes.
Just remember, before we finish off this clip, it has about 30 seconds left, just remember, don't have Islamic honor killings by British people in this country. You know, so to say that the issue is just solely men, you can categorically say that that is not true. Because not only there was seemingly a woman involved in this as well, the mother, right? And at least up until very recently with mass migration and stuff like that, you didn't see any of this stuff in the West. We never had problems with Islamic honor killings and stuff like that. So to say this is just a problem with men is very, very disingenuous and very, very disrespectful to not only this girl who luckily didn't lose her life, but all of the ones that have done in the name of these honor killings to this foreign god, which are blood on Jess Phillips's hands.
Father's grip.
Not directly, I should say. Not directly, obviously.
So
metaphorically.
So right there, as I grabbed his hand and I pulled it off, was able to spread his arms apart, and that's when she got free.
Other eyewitnesses described the chaos unfolding in front of the high school, with teens screaming.
Her eyes are rolling in the back of her head. She can't breathe. Someone call 911. Let go. Everyone seemed in a panic.
Now, I've trained jiu-jitsu, right? I've trained jiu-jitsu for a long time. I haven't been back to training for a few months. I really do need to start going, but my fitness hasn't been the best. Now, being choked out is a very in many ways scary experience. You know, it's a very, very scary experience. Can only imagine what this girl was going through, especially with the way that it's not like a jiu-jitsu joke where you have somebody behind you and you end up going to sleep after a few seconds. With the improper technique and very likely just rage-fueled grabbing around the throat, sort of like this, right? Not like a clean, rear naked choke where the person goes to sleep in about 5 seconds. This would be absolutely terrifying. Especially when, again, man and woman were not the same. Man's going to be so much stronger for the most part, outside of, again, certain extenuating circumstances, certain particular individuals where you have very muscular, very strong women compared to the average man, right? But we never had this problem during a patriarchal Christian society. We never had these problems. So again, Jess Phillips blaming the patriarchy, the mythical patriarchy construct. Very, very disingenuous and dangerous. And again, making the case for that, especially liberal females, should never be in politics. It's as simple as that. You make the case that liberals shouldn't be in politics anyway, but you know, at the very least, liberal females not doing the history of the women's suffrage movement and all of these brave suffragettes and everything like that, justice with the way that they've run our societies and with the way they continue to obfuscate and to not say the truth, because they might, I don't know, they might offend people, or they're more emotionally wired rather than logically wired. Seems that we're seeing that in Italy at the moment, where people are not happy with Giorgia Meloni, because I think she's been given the green lit for about 500,000 applicants from, again, Asia and Middle East and stuff like that, when she was trying to market herself as one of these right-wing populist leaders. And seems that she was very much a wolf in sheep's clothing as well. But we shall see. More instances, ladies and gentlemen. Last night, this was posted on the 17th, so this would have been 2 nights ago. In Windsor, an inebriated girl was by the river. She was surrounded by Asian migrants who requested she took her clothes off, then became naked. A person posting this, this is David Atherton posting this, and then one of his followers referenced the story. I believe they were there, saying, "My daughter's friends came across a young teenage girl who was clearly distressed, an intoxicated, naked teenager. She was surrounded by 3 to 4 migrant men who I guess are from the local hotel," shocker there, "as they are there every day. They had removed all of the poor girl's clothes and were walking her off somewhere further down the river." You don't need to, it's not racist to point out what these boys were likely planning. This is why I suggested, as I'll read to you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, this is why generations need to be remigrated, because these boys are just school kids themselves, about 15 to 16 years old. And despite this, I believe I might have got that slightly wrong, actually. I can't remember, I don't know if this part is actually talking about the boys harassing her were 15 to 16, or if the friends who came across the young girl and actually helped her are 15 to 16. I think I might have got that slightly wrong, actually, when I posted about this. So good thing I'm able to actually correct this now. It seems that, ladies and gentlemen, I might have got it slightly wrong. If you see my post on X, where I said generations need to be migrated, I thought the people harassing this girl, the 3 to 4 migrants, were 15 to 16 when I read this. I might have misread it. So the boys who intervened, I believe it is, are just 15 to 16 years old themselves. Despite this, they intervened and managed to get her away. She was visibly upset, and the men initially objected before finally leaving her alone. This happened less than 100 meters from Windsor Castle, King Charles's doorstep. And funnily enough, these places all have big fuck-off fences around them, right? We are not allowed big fuck-off fences. We're not even allowed bloody homes and rooms in which we don't have to have these people in our communities. No, we can't have that. We can't have security, but obviously all the politicians and the important people do. If girls aren't safe in a place crawling with royal protection and officers, where are they safe? Exactly. So this is the video from this, ladies and gentlemen, where these boys intervened. So this is what was happening. I believe this is after they realized what was going on, and now, as you can see, I presume this is the girl here is now fully clothed again. But make no mistake, you don't need to be a rocket scientist, and you're not racist if you point out what these men were going to do. It's a pattern. It's just pattern recognition at this point, and pattern recognition is essential for survival. Apologies for the very poor audio quality as well. It's just the video itself.
What's he doing? What are you doing? Yeah? What do you mean, what's our problem? What are you on about? Why are you allowing this? What? Why are you allowing this?
He's saying, why are you allowing this?
I'm talking to you. Hello, why are you allowing this? Why are you... Do you see what's going on and you're allowing this? What are you doing?
You see what's going on, you're allowing this. What are you doing?
Why
are you here?
Why I'm not coming? I'm feeding the bus.
Why are you here?
Why I'm not
allowing this shit, bro? He just asked you.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do? You don't even...
It's normal for them.
Fucking idiot.
You fucking idiot.
What? Huh?
Why?
Who the fuck are you talking to?
Oh, it's not worth it.
Who the fuck are you talking to, bro?
Why?
People are angry, and rightfully so.
Because why are you allowing this? Why? Shush, no, Shush, walk away. Just walk away. No, walk away. Bro, just walk away.
So again, I'm gonna, because again, the lighting is not great. This is obviously quite late at night. So the boys then, good men, good young men, by the seams of it, saw what was going on, so they weren't going to stand for it, putting themselves in great danger. They don't know if these men are armed. These men could have knives. These men could even have guns. We've seen plenty of examples. For example, there was a guy that had an AK-47 and was brandishing it on camera. I covered it a couple of months ago, saying that he was going to kill Tommy Robinson. So again, we know that these people within our country, these criminals, because they're criminals from day one, because they come across and invaded the country illegally. Illegal entry to a country is a crime. So I'm sorry, they're criminals from day one. So anybody says, but they didn't commit any crimes, they just came here. No, illegal entry is a crime in and of itself. Then, more often than not, they're going to be armed in some way. The government wants to take away your little swords, which you might want to have on your mantelpiece, a cool katana, which you just have on your mantelpiece as like a decorative piece, right? They're now saying we need to blunt the ends of knives to help fight knife crime. Sooner or later, they'll just be telling all men to cut off their dicks to fight rape, right? Aside from the migrant men, obviously. They would never dream of that. Although they might give them taxpayer-funded trans surgeries if they wanted them. So I kind of lost my train of thought there for a minute now. The young boys putting themselves at great risk of harm and death to do this. I'm not sure how many of them there were. Obviously, 3 to 4 would-be attackers, so it presumably would be just a 1-to-1 ratio. And they're 15 to 16. Takes a lot of courage to do that. These boys should be commended for what they've done here. Very, very good men. And it seems that the hard times are going through are breeding very good, strong men. And there's another one here, example, ladies and gentlemen, of just to highlight this now before we get into the next part involving the instances that happened recently in Epping. We have 2 things to go through now. If you're wondering, again, these people, they're not compatible with ours. It's not even just the working class people that are in danger. You have a Harry Potter actress's brother has just been jailed, or it's not just been jailed, this is actually from 14 years ago. I've only just seen the date of it now. A Harry Potter actress's brother was jailed for attacking her. So this is involving a lady, I believe, known as Afghan Azad, and she had fled the family home the day before the attack because she was assaulted by her brother because her boyfriend was not Muslim, and he was jailed only for 6 months. He was only jailed for 6 months. It's obviously from a little while ago. Manchester Crown Court at this time heard that Ashraf Azad launched a prolonged and nasty attack on Afghan Azad, who played Padma Patil in the Harry Potter films. She was punched repeatedly and dragged by her hair after being overheard talking to her Hindi boyfriend, or Hindu boyfriend, however you say it. I believe Hindi is the language, isn't it? Mr. Azad, 28, pleaded guilty to assault occasioning actual bodily harm. The court previously heard how Ms. Azad, who was 22 at the time, was branded a quote-unquote prostitute and quote-unquote slag, and was told, quote, marry a Muslim or you die. That is what she was told. Now, this is the gentleman in question. It's from the BBC article. So this is the gentleman in question. This is who it was. As you can see there, it says at the top there, the court previously heard, in fact, I will just move it up a little bit. The court previously heard how Miss Azad, 22, was branded a quote-unquote prostitute and quote-unquote slag and was told, quote, marry a Muslim or you die. Is it any wonder, ladies and gentlemen, how you could get these people who would then call young British girls who they were grooming and sexually abusing and torturing white slags? And they openly call it to their own girls? So yeah, not in any way compatible with our civilization. The sad thing is the actress pleaded with the court not to jail her older brother. So again, it's not hard to understand why that is, because if she was to then turn against her family, the punishment would be even worse again. I'm not sure what happened after this. Good thing is that the judge at this instance actually did say there were no good or proper reasons to suspend a sentence, because this country seems to want to give criminals, heinous criminals, leniency at every single term, particularly if they are of a minority race or ethnic or religious characteristic. But again, last point now of why we do need to be concerned with the culture and the ideology and everything that these people are bringing, and that it's not compatible with our civilization, is what's going on with the Druze at the moment in Syria. So Jolani, the new leader of Syria, who Macron and all of the other traitorous leaders in these countries that we call home, yeah, I suppose all of us call home, speaking as like a collective of like a, you know, European ethnic groups and stuff like that. Obviously, we don't all call all of the countries home. Poles call the Poles home. Poles call Poland home. Welsh call Wales home. I'm getting tripped over my words now trying to explain this. Anyway, one of Jolani's fighters has videoed this, and it's really, really sad to see. This is just a video that's going to upset you more than anything, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very upsetting video. They're persecuting the Druze and Christians in Syria at the moment, and it's not getting enough attention for all of the Christian, quote-unquote Catholic, commentators that want to talk about the atrocities that are happening, quote-unquote atrocities that are happening because of Israel and stuff like that. And I have got one to talk about at the end of this episode. It was very sad. A church in Gaza, but it was a Catholic church in Gaza, was attacked, and the cardinals and the religious officials there, Christian religious officials there, 3 people did lose their lives, and they're actually saying that they think it's an intentional attack by the IDF. We'll get onto that. This is the last thing to talk about today, so stay tuned for that. But he says, "What are you?" And the man replied, "I'm a Druze." And he started ripping out his mustache and slapped him across the face, saying, "You are a pig." And the reason they do that is because I believe it's in the different cultures. The Druze, I believe it is, see like the mustache as like a sign of pride, I believe it is, or that makes them distinct from them, from any others, right? And the Muslims, the radical Muslims that have come in place, they obviously put a lot of emphasis on the beard rather than the mustache. So this is their way within their culture of really, really denigrating them and really trying to hit them where it hurts, right? And that's why you see this now, pulling out his mustache and slapping him. Just be warned, gentlemen, this video is very upsetting, and should make you very angry then when you hear Jess Phillips say that, oh, there's no differences, it's just all men, it's all the patriarchy. So I'm trying to tuck this little bit of annoying hair up into my headphones. It's all men, it's all the patriarchy. No.
شو هرب علينا؟ شنو انت؟ شنو انت؟ شنو انت؟
Awful.
خنزير انت؟ شنو انت؟ شو هرب علينا؟
Satan is truly a wicked and evil spirit. Satan is truly a wicked and evil spirit. He has such a strong grip on this world at the moment, but I am hoping that is slowly coming to an end, and I think it is with how much it's accelerated in the last 5 years. And there certainly is a bit of a revival going on. It's starting off slow, but there is a bit of a revival going on, and that's brought me onto one thing I want to go on to before we finish up this episode. It's not in my notes, but it's one thing I do want to highlight. That there is a return to form coming. So you would have heard, ladies and gentlemen, that is all that out of the way relating to what we talked about last time. Essex Police posted this on X. It was today. It was last night, I suppose, technically. It was 12:20 this morning. Our officers have been at Epping this evening, where a number of people disrupted peaceful protests with projectiles. We have identified several suspects that we believe are responsible for that disruption. They need a fucking spell check. We have identified several suspects we believe are responsible for that disruption. So yeah, they need a grammar checker in the Essex Police. Maybe they can advertise that one. Maybe they can take the diversity paychecks and maybe put it towards a grammar checker. And they put a latest statement on their website. So they said this, right, because there was a lot of unrest that occurred in Epping recently, and I'm going to give you a little bit of context before I play this clip of the lady speaking here, because it started off, I believe, as a very peaceful protest, and the essential context that Essex Police are deliberately missing here is that they are key figures being responsible for the unrest that later on occurred, because they basically chaperoned the far-left agitators of Stand Up to Racism and the pedo protectors to this protest that were then lobbing projectiles and all the rest of it. So, what happened in Epping recently? So, a protest was sparked because of an incident involving an Ethiopian migrant by the name of Hadush Gebrselassie Kebatu, okay? Just as British as you and me, who arrived in the UK by small boat on June 9th, 2025. June 29th, which, we just do a quick check. 1, 2. It's about 2.5 weeks ago, or just under 3 weeks ago, that this man arrived in the country and was put up in a taxpayer-funded hotel, 4-star hotel, as we know from the conversation that DJE Media had with the ex-hotel manager. These people get everything quite literally on a silver platter for them, and they're some of the most ungrateful people on the planet for it. However, after arriving on June 29th, 2025, was charged with 3 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of inciting a girl to engage in sexual activity and 1 count of harassment without violence. And this is against, ask Grok to clarify this, by the way, based on the video that you're going to see now. And this was against a child. I'm not sure how old the child was, but I asked it, did an Ethiopian migrant commit a crime against a child after coming across the channel as the woman claimed? And Grok answered yes, and then gave you the bit that I gave you now. And this sparked the protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, where he was housed. So this is the video of a woman speaking into a megaphone, explaining this. And earlier on in this clip, actually asked the police, why are you not protecting us from the agitators when we're just here to exercise our right to free speech, freedom of assembly, and to protest, right? So this started off very peaceful, as you can see here. There's people clapping, cheering, just standing around, listening to this woman speak. So here's what she had to say about this issue.
They're green, yellow, or pink. We don't know who they are. They may be nice men. I don't know. No one knows. The likelihood is they're probably not.
She's right.
From Ethiopia, he's come across Europe to come to this country. Why? Because we are a soft touch.
Mm-hmm.
We give them everything that they want, and then they turn around and abuse us.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's 100% correct.
Why are the left? I hate to make this about left and right, because it shouldn't be. But why are those antagonists coming and accusing us of racism? It's not about racism, it's about abusing children.
The pedo protectors.
School uniform who are trying to get to school and are being sexually assaulted by a 38-year-old man in broad daylight. Yeah.
So there's a little bit of the context about what's going on. And she's completely right. And it's all coming from the left at the moment, the push to try and normalize this stuff, That's why they call people racist. That's why they call them homophobic, transphobic, all of these things, right? Call them that. They've been trying to normalize pedophilia for decades, right? You had people at Pride protests back in the 80s with the pedophile information exchange, right? Are saying, that child relationships between adults should be okay. And now you see terms like minor attracted persons trying to be normalized by people on the left. So sadly, this has become, even though it should be an issue that all sides should be able to agree on, sexually abusing children is bad, one of the worst crimes that could ever be committed. But no, because of the ideological corner that the left have backed themselves into, they now have to go down this route. However, the thing that's really making the rounds at the moment is the police response. So first off, here are the police escorting and bringing the far-left agitators, Stand Up to Racism, Refugees Welcome crowd, all of this stuff, Antifa, all the rest of them, to the place where they were protesting. Right? So here are the police essentially walking hand in hand with the people that then go on to agitate and cause violence and all of these things. You see them coming down the street. all but hand in hand with them. I like how they say stand up, fight back, but they're the ones that are on side of the establishment. They're towing the establishment line. It's the people like the woman on the truck speaking there that are actually standing up and fighting back in some ways, not physically, obviously, but they're the ones that are actually the underdog in the situation. The left are towing the establishment line. You see here it says, stop the far right, you know, or these, you know, probably midwit bloody theatre students and thespians, most likely. You know, stop the far right, refugees welcome, more people like, what was his name? Hadush Goebbels Lazi Kabatu, or Kebatu, however you say it. More people like him we want. But then the police response was very, very telling. And it's very sad. I can't seem to get one of the videos I wanted to showcase to work. For some reason, it's just not working. Very, 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 very sad. I'm not sure X is blocking it or something. I have absolutely no idea. But what happened was that's really making people angry is a police response to natives protesting against these foreign males being put in their communities because of the sexual crimes that they commit, because of the danger they pose to the communities, because of how unsafe it makes them. And as the police, when the whole thing then kicked off, so eventually it did descend into violence, and I don't know if you can fully call it a riot, but yeah, kind of. And it's, again, never good when these things happen. It's never good when these things happen. But at this point, you cannot blame the British people for being angry. And what happened was, as the police vans were leaving, they actually ran over one of the protesters, seemingly intentionally, right? And again, it highlights a complete double standard that they would never do this to a stand-up to racism, pro-Pal Muslim protest, right? They never, ever would, okay? It would be reputational suicide. But when it comes to native English protesting for their safety in their communities and for the safety of their children, this is how they get treated after the police brought the agitators to this protest, seemingly to actually spark this off, to spark off a conflict so that they could then clamp down on it in and still appear like the good guys. It makes you wonder how the police still are not sure and confused about how they are so hated and so despised by people when stuff like this happens. See, they smash through the barrier. This is where the protester comes in, and they actually run him down. And he's very lucky not to actually get... I don't know if he actually ends up under the truck itself. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. Wrong scene. You can't blame people for being angry. When you see scenes like this... So watch now. When you see scenes like this, you can't blame people for being angry. They'd never do this. They'd never, ever do this at a left-wing, pro-Pal, stand-up-to-racism protest. Never, ever would they dream of it. Because when it happens in other things, right? When, for example... It's, you know, the Roma gypsies in Hare Hills, for example, as to give you a little bit of an example now. It's quite clear what the police do, because they showed us what the police do. Here's an example of the police when things started getting out of hand in the Hare Hills, for example. They start running away. This was during an incident where a young boy, I believe it was, or a young child was being taken away from a Roma gypsy family because they deemed that he was in danger there, and the community rioted. And the mayor, I believe it was, of Hare Hills, what's his name, Moffin Ali, was in the crowd throwing rocks and throwing debris at police and stuff like that, and then tried to go on TV later on. And I think first off he denied it. I believe first off he denied that he was there, but then photos were being circulated, be like, no bro, you were there and you were throwing stuff at police, you were involved in the fires and stuff like that, right? And then because they showed a couple of shots, like again the sweetheart fucking media going in and showing him doing a little bit of cleaning up and stuff like that, they tried to make him out as this hero and stuff like that. Truly awful. And sadly I can't play the video that's on here for some reason. For some reason, it's not allowing me to play it. It's really, really annoying. There's another video here of, again, what happens when it's the native British, for example. The difference in the police response. Very annoying that I cannot play that video for you. It just keeps buffering for some reason. It just keeps buffering. In fact, I'll try it one more time. I'll try and get it to play one more time. I don't think it's going to work if I do this a moment. I'm trying to refresh the page here, ladies and gentlemen. So here it's right. So it appears to be working now. I hope that it will work. So this is the video. Fingers crossed it will work. No, there we go. See, it's buffering. See it. Give me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. So here's a little bit about what it's like. This is outside the Bell Hotel. So there you go. And that's where it started buffering again. So here you go. Complete difference in response. There we go. And this is what always happens. This is what always happens. Again, you'd never see things like this at one of the pro-pal Muslim pedo apologist organization protests, right? Similarly to how you'd never see it like this. So Sidney Jones was actually, this is one of Nick Tenconi's events, I believe it was, and you can see this is how the police response changes when it's against the native people. So here's a video that Charles Veitch, recorded at this event, where you actually see Nick Tenconi was being escorted away from it. Chaos ensues, and the police. There is one guy that appears to be an agitator of some kind, I believe it was, but I believe this is in response to what the police were doing, being very heavy-handed with journalist Sidney Jones, for example. You can't blame people for being angry when you see things like this. When you see the blatant double standard. All because I believe they wanted to speak in front of this statue in the background. Again, you'd never see this kind of response. You have police in this country that go to, you know, the leaders of the communities, the leaders of the minority communities, the leader of the Muslim communities, and ask them how they would like to be policed. You never get that kind of courtesy if you're a native British person. So there's Nick, he's leaving now. There's Nick Tenconi, he's leaving. So yeah, all because I believe they wanted to speak in front of the statue in the background.
The police did not let the straight white man speak at the front of the Victoria statue. That's a surprise, isn't it? It is a surprise.
Not really that surprising.
Like a lot of these things, as you saw in my video last week, extraction is the more difficult point. Going in and doing your action is fine.
So yeah, awful. Awful. And police, seemingly, are losing the grip that they had now. And they definitely lost the trust of the British public. They lost the trust of the British public a long time ago. Especially when you see stories like this, for example. So this was published 3 days ago in The Sun. Blind eye. Cops saw me being raped by illegal immigrant at 14, but arrested me and shamed me in the process as groomers abused me for years. Police labelled her a yob, and care workers bought her McDonald's to keep her quiet. So this is the account of a girl, or well, a woman now, Jamie Lee Jones. She was abused by grooming gangs in Oldham from age 12. And police officers walked around the corner as she was being raped on an industrial estate. 14-year-old Jamie Lee Jones should have felt relief that they had come to her rescue. But shockingly, instead of arresting her attacker, an illegal immigrant, they put her in handcuffs and arrested her for prostitution. The vulnerable teenager, who had been a victim of grooming gangs from the age of 12, was labelled a sex worker, told she was out of control, and hauled up in court. Incredibly, the Greater Manchester Police also sent her name and photo to be published across local and national media, with a quote from police chief saying, "We will run young yobs out of town." despite having at least 2 reports of rape against Jamie Lee at the time, and knowing she was classed as a vulnerable child at high risk of sexual abuse from grooming gangs. She was then taken from her family and placed in care, where the abuse got worse, and gangs of rapists from Oldham's Pakistani, Kurdish and Bengali communities were given free rein to continue this sickening campaign of grooming and rape up until she was 18. She reported 4 other rapes to Greater Manchester Police from 2011 to 2015, and says nothing was ever done, and officers openly blamed her for the sexual assaults. This is the level of indoctrination that's occurred in our police forces now. And people are getting angry. People are getting angry, and rightfully so. People are getting angry, rightfully so. Some even said this has been too long. It's been too long since people were doing this, but it's because of the fact that fathers that try to go and rescue their daughters get arrested. You know, the state openly arrests victims instead of perpetrators to protect their narrative of multiculturalism and diversity. So what were they supposed to do? Now people have just about had enough. For example, at London Underground Station, a video recently circulated, and this is a note for you women as well. If you see things like this, just stay the fuck out the way. All of you, just stay the fuck out of the way. For your own safety, and for the safety of your fellow people. Just stay the fuck out of the way. Don't be like the suicidal liberal women that you're going to see in a moment that could not only get themselves killed, but could get other good men killed as well. Just stay the fuck out of it when you see exactly what you're about to see in a moment. I don't care who you are. A migrant punches a man holding a baby at a London Underground station. You actually see the baby at the start of this clip, I believe. They're sat on the floor. A migrant punches a man holding a baby at London Underground Station. The baby falls to the floor. The English then team up and take him down, and they're kicking all 7 lumps of shit out of him, and it's actually very satisfying to watch. And what you'll see is the ever suicidal white liberal women will jump in to try and protect the perpetrator, and put themselves and these good men in danger as a result. So this is what happened now, and you can see here people are getting angry. This is what has happened due to the government deciding that they're not going to help the people, they're not going to protect their own citizens, they're going to try and protect their religion of multiculturalism and diversity. They're going to put people in danger as a result, and these people are now going to start fighting back. Someone shut her up, for God's sake. So you can see here. So they're trying to keep this, for lack of a better term, rabid animal down. And here you go. Here's the white liberal saviour complex coming in. There is the abandoned... Oh, why did it stop? Hold on. Why does that stop? There we go. So the clip ended. So there is the abandonment of all... There is the abandonment of all survival instinct, not only for yourself, but also for your fellow man, for your fellow countrymen, as they're trying to deal really with a rabid animal that's just punched a man holding a baby. And there you go. You jump in on the side of the perpetrator. And what if he was them? What if it was just like a lone man, for example, and he was kicking him while he's down, trying to deal with this shit, and you have the woman tries to go up behind him, tries to grab the man and stop doing it. The other guy gets up and he has a weapon of some kind and he kills them both. So there's a note for you ladies: stay the fuck out of it. When you see this stuff happening, stay the fuck out of it and keep fucking quiet while you're at it. Just keep fucking quiet. We've had enough. We've had enough. And contrary to what you may believe, this is for your benefit. This is for your benefit. Especially if you live in the areas like London, where, these things happen every day. Rapes are happening every hour. Rapes are reported every hour in London, as we covered a little while ago with the news headline, which is one of the most depressing ones I've ever read. For your own good. It's not me threatening you. It's literally just saying we don't want you to get hurt. Stay out of it. You know? Just stay out of it. Because the state is not on your side. The state is actively putting you in danger as well. As you'll see here, French lifeboat, which as they come in across the channel from France. So again, France's duty with the amount of money we pay them is to stop these people coming over the channel. They don't do it. They actively facilitate it. And we are paying for that. So we are paying for them to stop them. Not only are they taking our money, but they're giving us what we are paying them to stop anyway. And they actually go into the channel and they hand out water and high fives to these illegals crossing the channel. This is a video, a tremendous video that encapsulates everything about how all of these other organizations are involved as well. The RNLI, the Border Force, our government, the French government, every single institution is involved in this, and they'll send out lifeboats to, not ferry the boat back to French shores or anything like that, as they're supposed to. No, to go and give them water and give them a little tap on the arse on their way as they come to invade Britain. So he passes water across. There you go. Have a nice life. They're the British problem now. I said a while ago, France now needs to be seen, at least the government, not the people, not the French people necessarily, but France, for its government, needs to be seen by Britain as an enemy state, because that's exactly what it is. It's perpetuating this problem onto us, so it's an enemy state. Macron is an enemy of Britain. I say that with no hyperbole. I say that with no hyperbole whatsoever. French government is not our friend. It might be a friend of the British establishment that want to also destroy our countries, destroy our communities, make us unsafe, and take away all of our rights and freedoms so that we'll own nothing and be happy, right? They might be a friend of the elites. They're not a friend of you, just a regular British person, or if you want to go down the nationalist route, the regular Welsh, English, Scottish, Irish person. If you want to separate it that way, it doesn't really matter so much. I think even if you're a nationalist, even if you have more nationalist bent with these kinds of things, you can acknowledge that at least with this issue, we're all in it together, especially England, Scotland and Wales, because we are landlocked to each other. Okay? We're completely landlocked to each other. So we have to acknowledge that we're in this together. Okay? We're in this together. Even if we may see it as, distinct peoples of different nations, we make up one greater nation, for example, okay? We need to acknowledge that we're all in this together. And the last bit I want to go over in this episode, now I mentioned that, talking about the conservative commentators that don't want to talk about, Christians being persecuted around the world, like similar to what's happening with the Druze in Syria and stuff like that at the moment. A lot of them seem to have been very quiet on this issue. Candace Owens and people like that. Tucker Carlson seems to be very quiet on it, but they'll go on about Israel. There has been one thing that does need to be addressed with regards to Israel and the IDF, though. And I like the top line of this. This is from an Italian news source. It says the lovers caught at Coldplay concert become a global case. In case you didn't see that, ladies and gentlemen, there was a CEO of Astronomer was caught at a Coldplay concert on the Jumbotron from Chris Martin, going to the concert with his head of HR. And they were caught on the Jumbotron. Their affair was exposed at the Coldplay concert. So don't go doing that. Don't go doing that. And I suppose best to say, if you are going to have an affair, don't go to a Coldplay concert. Anyway, not justifying that or endorsing that whatsoever. But this is from the person who wrote this article is somebody by the name of Virginia. I don't know how to pronounce the surname. Picciolillo. Probably butchered that. But anyway, what's happened recently is that the IDF, they've taken responsibility for this. They say that a stray shell from a tank hit a church in Gaza and very nearly hit the cross at the top of the church. And pardon me, it was I've got the name of the church here. Where is it? Where's the name of the church? Here it goes. The Church of the Holy Family. Church of the Holy Family in Gaza. I believe it's the only Catholic church in the Gaza Strip, or the only Catholic parish in the Strip. Obviously, the Gaza Strip vastly, dominated by very radical Muslims. But it is important, and I feel that I haven't done the best job of thinking about this and talking about this when I brought these issues to light, that there is a Christian population there. It's not just all radical, fanatical Muslims, and these people are not only being persecuted by the radical Muslims, but we hope are not actually being targeted by the IDF as well. That make it think I can't think of them having a good reason to go and attack a church. Obviously, they say it was an accident, unless obviously there's some kind of terrorist infrastructure there, not being confirmed whatsoever. But the cardinal there, Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, and I will stress that people have lost their lives in this. Very sadly, it appears 3 people, I believe including one of the church leaders, has actually lost their lives in this incident, and several more were injured. I believe there might be a couple of photos in this news article. If not, I'll see if I can bring some up. But they actually say that this may have been intentional. They say the headline is Pizzaballa, Israel's raid on a church in Gaza, ? Today they hit us, but dozens of people die every day. This senseless war must stop. So, very, very sad to see. And we also have here, I believe, comments from Father Gabriel Romanelli. So, he said regarding this incident, that it says here, yesterday he was tinged with bitterness. Quote, we are very worried about the wounded. Some are still seriously injured and the hospitals can't do much. He said, before making an appeal, it's time to stop this war, which has always been absurd and is now even more senseless. He said, today they targeted Christians, but dozens of people continue to die every day in the Strip. And this is very reminiscent. I'm glad they brought this up in this article. Very reminiscent, seemingly, to what happened a little while ago with the sniper incident. So it was actually in the courtyard of this church that an IDF sniper killed 2 women who I believe were surrendering. They had a white flag and they were surrendering. But now the church itself, according to Pizzaballa at least, seems to have been targeted. Again, a lot of people, a lot of different viewpoints over this, whether the church was targeted, whether it was an actual accident. I don't know as of yet. It's not a good look. It's very much so not a good look. And it says here, Cardinal Pizzaballa, you are not terrorists. You have never discriminated against civilians rescued, and there is universal recognition of the great humanitarian work carried out by the Church of the Holy Family. Why have you suddenly become a target? So this is something that the interviewer was asking him. It says, we are not a target. They say it was a mistake, even though everyone here believes it's not so. Interviewer then says, but it wasn't a bombing from above. It's hard to mistake. In fact, it looks like they hit it from the ground with a tank, which they did say that is what happened. Apparently, it was a stray from a tank. One can't help but think about the fact that 3 days ago, there was an Israeli evacuation order in the area. Yes, but it was a general order for an entire area. It wasn't directed at our community. We were never told. The church is not a target. And the Israeli officials have come out and said they don't target religious sites. So again, we shall see what comes of this. Netanyahu's, I believe, apologized for the incident, I believe. And the interviewer asked, but this isn't the first quote-unquote mistake the military has committed against Christians. There were some problems over a year ago. The Orthodox Church, which is close to us, was also hit. And he says, do you think the attack on the Holy Family Church, was a warning, a brutal invitation to leave Gaza? He says, I don't know. I don't like conspiracy theories. It happened. We will continue to address the people's dramatic situation. We will continue to provide the necessary aid for their survival. And in true fashion, for these people, they're very, very strong people. It's something I never understood about Christians all throughout my adolescence. I've never had a strong Christian foundation in my life. They're extremely strong, resilient people, some of the most extremely strong, resilient people on the planet. Haven't you thought for a moment, is it time to leave? He says, absolutely not. We're staying whatever happens. Apparently Pope Leo XIV has been in contact as well. Apparently he had a phone call with the patriarchs as they went into the area the morning after it happened. So we'll see what developments we have with this story. But it does appear that the IDF has denied any intentional wrongdoing. But I just want to pull up some of the some of the images from it if I can find them, because it does appear to have done more damage than some of the things which I have. Some of the images which I shared initially, because people were saying that the church had been leveled. People were saying that the church had been destroyed, and it doesn't appear to be so. It is very suspicious, however, or at least it didn't appear so when I initially looked at it. So this is an image that was shared on X, I believe it was, of the church. Well, this is before the attack. I want to see if I can find another one, but this is the church before the attack, as you can see here. So this is it. There's no damage to it whatsoever. It looks very beautiful, has to be said. And I just want to see if I can find the other image. Right, so here, the only thing is everybody's putting up images and then they're putting up like screen grabs of like they're putting up screen grabs of like a Netanyahu and stuff like that. There we go. Perfect. This one will do. So this is then the image of the church after, and you can see here that this is where the damage is at the top, very close to where the cross was. And again, if they wanted to make an intentional attack on the church, what would they aim for, right? Does make you think. It does make you think. So yeah, not a very good look whatsoever. And the only thing is, looking at it from this angle, it's hard to fully get the scope of what happened. And that's the image that came up, or it's a very similar image that came up when I said that people saying that the church was destroyed wasn't exactly the most accurate. But then you see this image, for example, which puts a different spin on it. This is a side profile of the church where the round went in. And you can see here, it does appear to have done a lot more damage, unless this is some kind of weird thing like the church may have, if I bring myself up here next to it, the church may have like a really tall bit at the top, but nothing behind it. So like the actual roof of the church is somewhere further down. So if this is the wall, the actual church roof would be like down here somewhere. So the wall might be this tall. This part where the cross is might be this tall. And then the roof is actually somewhere down here, and you can't see it behind this building. I have no idea. I have no idea the extent of the damage. I just know that it's very sad, very tragic. 3 individuals have lost their lives. This was intentional, but it deserves to be condemned in the strongest ways possible. Certainly hope it wasn't intentional. It doesn't strike me as something that Israel would do intentionally, even if, as we know, many Jews don't like Christians. Jews in general don't like Christians. Obviously, there's a religious conflict goes back, well, not so much religious conflict, but heavy religious disagreement. You know, a lot of Orthodox Jews and Jews who take their faith very seriously regard Christians as just idolaters, and obviously Christians regard Jews who reject the Messiah as not being saved, and that Christ fulfilled the prophecies of the Jewish faith. So again, you do have some, for example, who are Messianic Jews who again keep some of their Jewish customs, but do believe Jesus was the Messiah. So there's a lot of conflict around these things. Because of what happened 2,000 years ago. So again, it does beg the question, is this something that they tried to do and now they've tried to play it off as an accident because it didn't work so well? If they did like hit the cross, for example, and they tried to devastate the church, they could have said, it was just something that, gone the way again, another accident. I don't know. I'm trying to remain as neutral as possible, because it's a weird one, this one. Because broadly, I still think like the state of Israel is a relative positive for the world. Because as I said, I do believe that if you were to, for example, expel all the Jews tomorrow and let the Muslims take it over, for example, you'd lose the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I believe it would destabilize the entire region a hell of a lot more than it is now, even though Israel has gone on, is now attacking Syria and places like that. So again, the region of the world is very, very uncertain, and there's constantly a war going on and stuff like that. And you could say that there's questions to be asked on both sides, obviously. I've sort of moved now more towards the center in recent times, where you know, Gaza society, I still believe that, you know, for the most part, it is a truly evil society with Hamas and the groups like that, where they'll use children as human shields, they'll use them as propaganda devices. Never should be done. You know, there was a horrific video that came out a little while ago. They put it to this like really happy, dancey music, and it was this child that was dressed up in full Hamas garb, camouflage, headband, all the rest of it. A young girl, probably about 5 or 6, twirling around the streets of Gaza with a gun in her hands, and again, grooming this girl to be the next fucking martyr for the cause, right? Awful, truly fucking awful, evil society. We do have bits in it that are extremely holy and extremely good, though. And when they get caught up in things like this, especially if it was intentional, it deserves to be condemned in the strongest terms. But that'll do it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy. If you are going to tune into my interview with Kimberly Isherwood later on this evening, I hope you enjoy it. Please like it, comment, share it, all of these things. Leave your discourse in the comments, as always with my videos, stuff like that. So thank you very much. Hope you found this useful. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for watching. Hwyl fawr. We'll see you next time. You take care. And we'll see you again. Godspeed.